Hey there, Sharon Peterson here, and I am going to be planting peas this morning. Peas are an early crop to go in the garden. I love planting peas because I'm always itching to get out in the garden in the early spring. And so it gives me something to do, and I can resist planting my tomatoes and peppers until later when they will be safe. Peas are cold hardy. So you can plant them like 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. And they actually like the cold better. They won't really germinate well if you wait until your soil is hot. So the soil needs to be cool, and they can withstand a frost, and so you don't have to worry about that. So plant early. The other option is peas make a really good fall crop because, again, they like the cool weather. So in the fall, you can plant peas and get another fall harvest. So you can plant peas early. They're done early, and so a lot of times you can follow peas with another crop, and then or you can wait and then leave the hot part of the season, don't do anything with peas, and then in the fall you can plant again. So let's talk about the different types of peas. My husband is one. He always says peas are such a labor-intensive crop, and they kind of are, because we like snap peas. So snap peas is the type of pea that you take out of the pod to eat. It's just the little round seed part. There is also what they call snow peas, and snow peas, you pick them very early and you pick them in the pod and you eat the whole pod and everything. So they're much less labor intensive. You don't have to open up the pods and take the seeds out. I just don't care for snow peas as well. I like snap peas, and so that's what we do. But it's personal preference. Doesn't really matter. If you want less labor, go for the snow peas. If you like the pods, then just realize that you're going to have to open up those pods and take the peas out when you harvest. So another thing to consider when you're planting peas is there's two varieties of plants. One will be a bush plant and one will be a vining plant. So if you plant a vining plant, you're going to have some kind of a trellis. And I have planted vining plants in the past, and I just used some kind of a stiff fencing, like a cattle panel. I don't know if it needs to be as tall as a cattle panel, but something that it can grow up, just any kind of a piece of fencing, maybe between two posts. I've seen people make teepees out of sticks that the vines will grow up. But they definitely need to be trellised because they'll get long and then they'll just fall over and they make a tangled mess. If you are planting bush peas, which is what I'm doing this year, then you don't need to trellis it. It's really kind of personal preference as far as which one you choose. I kind of like the trellising, but I'm just short on fencing this year, and so I decided, okay, I'm just going to do bush peas. That way I don't have to worry about finding a trellis for my peas to grow up. But again, it's personal preference. So when you're planting peas, whether you go for the bush or the pod or the snow or trellising or whatever, it doesn't matter what type of peas. You want to plant your seeds about 3 inches apart down the row. And I like to do a double row, so it'll be 3 inches apart, and then I'll have another row fairly close, about 6 inches or so, and then it'll be 3 inches apart down that row. They grow up together then, and it just makes you able to get more in a little compact area. In Colorado, where we had to water more, we had to irrigate more, I would have a trench between those rows where my water would go. So I'd put a hose at the end and the water would run down the row, and I'd have peas growing on either side of that trench. I'm not doing that here in Tennessee. This is an experiment. We're going to get rain, and when there's a dry spell, I can just water with a sprinkler or with a hose. And so I'm not trenching this year, and it feels really weird. So one thing that again, this is kind of another personal preference thing. You can soak your peas before you actually plant them in the garden. They say that it will help them to germinate faster because they've already been soaking and they're getting nice and hydrated. And so they're just doing it in a jar of water before they're actually going into the ground. And so, the same process has to happen whether it's in the ground or in a jar. And so that is something I do. When you soak your peas, you're just going to put them, I just use a little canning jar. I put them in there and I just soak them overnight, like the day before I know I'm going to plant them in the afternoon sometime. I put them in a jar, soak them with water, and then just drain that water out and plant your peas just like usual. You don't have to, though. It's certainly not required. It's just kind of an option, and it's something that I do usually do. But I certainly wouldn't be afraid to just plant the peas dry. It's not a big deal. keep in mind that peas is something you don't want to overwater. And so I wouldn't soak them more than just like overnight. And if you live where, or if you know you're going to be planting like right before a long rainstorm where they're going to be really wet for a while, then you might want to just plant them dry, because peas are prone to getting too wet, and if you get them too much water, then it's not good for them. So it's just an option. I know we're going to have like about a week of dry weather, and so I'm going to go ahead and get these. I went ahead and got these soaked so that they'll germinate a little quicker and then have that time to kind of get going before our rain that's coming next week. Anyway, so let me go over and I'll go ahead and just start a row and I'll show you exactly how I do it. It's super simple. I think if you're a brand new gardener, peas is a really good place to start because they're easy to do. You can get out in the early summer, and then you can even do it again in the fall if you'd like to. So let me go over there and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is take my peas. I took and I made a trench here. All I did was just use a hoe. You can use whatever tool you want. Just tried to make it nice and straight down my bed here. I'm just going to take my peas and place them about 1 to 2 inches apart. Oops, that was too many. I kind of clean up the row as I go. Make sure there's no rocks. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover it with some dirt. Now my dirt's kind of clumpy here, so just going to make sure to kind of crumble it as I go, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and just go down and finish the entire row. Then I will make another row over here, and I'll just do the same thing. So my goal is to have my rows of peas about, I don't know, 6 inches apart, a double row like that, and then I'll have a space, and then if I have enough seed, I'll go ahead and do another double row over there. Okay, so that's it. I got my peas in the ground. I went ahead and watered them lightly just to get them started, staying nice and damp, and now we just wait. If you want to learn more about growing peas, I've got an article that I've written about how to plant them, how to grow them, how to harvest them, fertilizers that you might need, all of the different things. So go ahead and check the link below. I'll go ahead and link to that. And you guys have a great summer, and we'll see you in the next video. Talk to you later.